Welcome back, Golf Psychos, to the Golf Psycho podcast. I'm Carlos Benavides, mental game coach out of Austin, Texas. Today, I am joined by
Laurie Benavides.
Laurie Benavides, my beautiful, beautiful wife, the love of my life. Today, we're going to be going over the experiences that she had and the experiences that we had together as we took on changing and rewriting my mental game, the things that she saw, the things that she experienced, and the things that she helped me with as a non-golfer. This is going to be a heck of an episode. You're going to want to stay to the end. We're going to go over all of the tidbits and everything that we went through as we rewrote my game over the course of 3 years?
Yeah, something like that. It'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just jump right into it. It was really, really interesting, hon. I think in the summer of 2019, when I first started getting back out to the range and you were hearing me get back out to the course, I want to get your thoughts, anything that's in there that maybe we haven't even talked about as far as golf coming back into our lives.
2019, I remember it was very positive and very fun for you. You were going to a range that was near the place that you were working at the time. And it was a good thing. And then at some point you were like, well, let's start playing and going to the range. And by that time, I was also okay. I had tried golfing when Carlos and I first started dating, and this is terrible and that's not fun for me. So we would go very, very sporadically. And then he pretty much just left it for a decade. Back to that point, we started playing. And then at first it was fun and you were doing well. I guess because you were.
At first it was fun.
It was fun. And then at some point it became not so much fun for you. And of course, and that wasn't fun for me because here I'm seeing my person, feeling very badly when he's playing golf. And so that was surprising because we had kind of already worked on ourselves and, meditation and yoga and thought processes. But just because you do one thing well in one area doesn't necessarily mean it translates. And this was very, very evident. So that was very interesting to see that this is fun. And then, oh no, you're really sad about this, if you want to get into that and what that was like.
No, absolutely. And I think, as an occupational therapist, what were your initial thoughts, your initial diagnosis over what you were seeing? As you said, once we got onto the course, it turned into something else. What did you see?
Yeah, well, definitely very emotional. Maybe not on the course. Of course, you could see that if a shot didn't go well or what was that? You would hear those kinds of verbal things of, come on, Carlos, coaching yourself in this way that wasn't the most encouraging, but almost like getting mad at yourself. And then when we'd get into the car, I remember specifically when we were leaving Grey Rock, it was one that it was Falcon. Also Grey Rock. I remember having a Grey Rock.
Leaving all the courses in the greater Austin area.
But yeah, Carlos is in tears and he's just so sad. And we had to talk about that. And I remember thinking, well, there's a solution for everything, right? So if there's a solution, we can fix it. And if not, well, then we just leave it. But of course, there was a solution. And I wasn't necessarily a golfer. I didn't really know how everything really, really worked. So we started going back into, well, I can track these things, where is this happening? Where are we losing shots? And we'd have a big stack of scorecards with, we're getting up and down. Are we hitting greens? Are we in the fairway? And from there, it also ended up developing into, okay, this is the areas of your game that we need to practice, along with then for you, with the loading of the who and that development. And then that started becoming part of our check-ins also with the scorecard. So that's also another hint. I suggest you all do that. Put that in your scorecard, along with your up and downs, along with your hitting the greens. Are you loading the who? And then I would also suggest, are you doing your 4-4 breaths if you're walking or your 4-8 breaths if you're walking, to check in to see if you're doing that, to track it. And that's what we would do. We would track it just the way I would do an OT. I'm tracking these goals. How are we doing? What do we need to go work on? Then taking that information and going to the range and practicing on those things. And it was very, very, very helpful. I remember we would even graph it the way we graph some of our goals to see where is these things going. And you could see it. And we were so consistent with that. And, within a year, I want to say, you did really, really well. And you could see the progression of like, hey, this is great. And of course, just like anything else, progress isn't linear. So it wasn't a straight, oh, my scores are coming down like this. It was kind of like this, but that's normal. We expected that, especially coming from a therapy background, that we know that progress isn't linear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was fascinating as we kind of gradually stumbled upon techniques that were working. I think that initially we went out, again, this is prior to any mental game coaching whatsoever. That's not even in our psyche.
Mm-mm.
And I think we just naturally fell into tracking everything. And based on that information, that's how we started gradually, developing the techniques that we would inevitably use on the course. I think we were already very aware of 4-8 breathing. And I think that within the first few months, we knew that nervous system regulation was a thing. We started to notice that if we set intentions before rounds, that was helping me stay grounded a little bit more. Not that the blowups didn't happen. I think they just reduced. And yeah, I think, just to kind of paint the picture of what we were kind of taking on. And again, I go back to tracking and having you keep all this information was so crucial to getting us out of this funk, getting us moving along, changing my game. And then from there, those things kind of revealed themselves. Had I not had you to document everything, I can confidently say I wouldn't have done it myself. So in that sense, if you go back to, Tin Cup, one of my favorite movies of all time, Laurie's my doctor lady, she's my Dr. Griswold. And it was amazing, right? Laurie had just taken up the game, but yet was able to help me so much through therapeutic techniques, OT techniques, and then again, just the information that we had, just tracking was huge. And I think the very first thing that we ever stumbled upon was the setting of the intentions and the breathing. And then those things would gradually turn into loading the who and kind of understanding the pickle that I was in, the one that I talked to with everyone that comes through, the conundrum that we had. And I think that most golfers have is that you hit a shot and within half a second, there's typically a reaction. And it was very difficult to not fall into that reaction. But what, if anything, was the most surprising out of that first year?
That's a good question. What was the most surprising from that first year? Well, the improvements. I mean, I guess I shouldn't have been surprised.
It wasn't
but
the emotions. It wasn't.
That. I thought you meant like once we started implementing.
No, I mean, in general, anything from the beginning to when we started implementing. What was the most surprising? I mean, it could be that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no. Prior to us starting to implement some of these things, that was the most surprising because, just to reiterate, Carlson and I had already worked on ourselves as people. Read all of these books, and we were very familiar with meditation, and we're using that in our regular life. We were familiar with 4-8 breathing and nervous system regulation for ourselves, and rewriting our own thought processes. So on our regular life. And I know there's that famous saying, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, and then it's not true at all. So to see that with Carlson, whoa, you're really blowing up with himself. He wasn't getting mad at me or anything like that, or people he was playing with. Even if we were playing with people, he'd be friendly to them, but he'd get back in his cart, or you could just see it seething if it was if it was like a cartoon, you could just see the steam coming out of his ears. And just so mad, clenching his jaw and just almost silently, I would say, from what it looked like to me, lashing himself if something didn't go well. And what is happening? We're supposed to be out here having fun. We got a margarita or whatever, or some coffee.
And it's weird how it didn't poke its ugly head out initially. It was kind of it took a few rounds, and then old habits die hard, and then there it was, and it was embarrassing, but it was incredibly honest. And I think that when I often say on this podcast, rewriting my mental game. And what I mean by that, just to be clear, is essentially changing the neural highways that I have in my brain that said, this is how we do stuff, right? Like any other habit, right? Every habit that you have that's solidified as a behavior that you do on the regular, there is a little neural pathway in your brain that shows, right, that this thing exists, right? It exists as a neural pathway. And when I say rewrite my game, it was to put an end to those pathways that didn't serve, to put an end to that habit, to stop that habit and rewrite it in a way that did help my mental game, that did help me, that did help my health, that did help Laurie put up with me on the course, right? So when I say rewrite, and you'll hear that quite a bit today, I want to reiterate that that's what I mean.
Yeah. And so that was the most surprising, is just how much of that physical, emotional reaction that you had. Like I said, it's still very clear with me of how, you were in tears. You were just so sad and so disappointed.
I was in tears.
It's almost,
I was.
you were that little kid again that was just so upset with himself, really. And, as a partner, a little bit of you felt helpless. So I'm like, what can we do? And well, hey, what I know to do is I can track things really well. So let's start in that way. That's how I'm going to figure out this solution. That was the most surprising. Yeah. And then, of course, rewriting games and recognizing, okay, what are these thoughts saying? And okay, we already know where they came from. Now, how do we rewrite it? And we already know, like, well, you got to catch it. And then you have to affirm it in some way that is functional for you, that works for you. And that was really important. And then, of course, throughout, it wasn't just like, oh, automatically it's going to switch. No, it takes time, because these are thought processes that have already been grooved, and then moving from a reaction now to a response. And then sometimes, of course, I'd go out there with him, and there's some days that I also learned, as a coach or anybody, you don't want to be coached. And I know what that's like too, because I have also been a person that is not good at being coached, like working out or whatever, until you finally break down, like, no, I do want to get better, but I'd be like, did you load your who? Or are you doing your 4-8 breaths, or then kind of figuring out what the best way is. And that's also something too, that there's going to be sometimes when that reaction happens of, I don't want to hear it right now. It's like telling someone to calm down when they're really mad and they have no tools to calm down. They don't know how to do that, which is very normal. It's very human. But that was also interesting. And then seeing how that died off, how sometimes it would be like, oh, I could see the egoicness of, I don't want to calm down, or implement these strategies. And then, okay, thank you for letting me
have my moment. Yeah, I don't think we've discussed that. That little conundrum thus far in the pod. And I think that's a really good time to bring it up now that you do. That was probably the most difficult thing, aside from the problem itself. But once I was upset, once I was pissed, you don't want to do what you know you need to do. I didn't want to 4-4 breathe. I didn't want to get back to my breath. I didn't want to calm down. And I think understanding that, because this was such an old habit and it had been around for so long, and understanding how the brain works and understanding the safety around this reaction, it was difficult to let go of it. It was difficult to not want to participate in it, because that's just what my brain knew. And it was fascinating to go, hey, I'm out here to break this habit. And in this moment, I don't want to. I just want to be upset. Yeah. And it was really, really interesting to end up in those heightened emotions. And I would even say, sometimes close to rage. And then understanding in time, as I implemented these techniques on the course and getting back to my breath and doing it even though I didn't want to do it, kind of like very similar to, well, I know I need to go work out, but I don't feel like it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And doing that, and then feeling a chemical change, feeling my nervous system go from, in a fight or flight to turning off. And now all of a sudden I can breathe again. And now all of a sudden I do want to let go of the anger, and I do want to get back to playing good golf. And I do want to, remember what the intentions that I set for, and
Exactly.
that was huge initially for keeping me out, because Laurie would tell me as we're approaching, we often played Lost Pines Wolf Dancer when we were rewriting my game. That was our favorite place to go.
Still is.
Still is. And shout out Wolf Dancer. You'll always be Wolf Dancer to me.
Lost Pines.
And,
No, AKA Lost Pines.
And I can see us going down that little 3-mile path on the way to the course off of the highway. And I can hear Laurie say, like, what are your intentions for today? And before we even step foot out of the car, you know, we're still in the car. And it was always to have fun. I always felt that was a really good, covers all manners and all bases. It would be the easiest for me to sort of remember. Even every once in a while, I remember using funny lines from movies or funny lines from Caddyshack or from Happy Gilmore, and just using those lines. Gosh, right now off the top of my head, trying to remember what some of them were. It was just the goal was to bring comedy to the whole thing. And I knew that there was a really good way of bringing, you know, my love for movies and my love for film was a really good way of bringing comedy to fits of rage, and then helping me remember, I think, just how ridiculous I looked out there being so upset over this game. And that was a big one, intentions and movie lines.
For sure. And I think having those reminders, once we also got comfortable in almost like a coaching relationship too, you know, because that was a new place for us as well to an extent on the golf course specifically, of, you know, that's not really you. This doesn't feel good because this isn't really you. And so sometimes I would kind of, you know, I would see you sit with that and then like, I kind of get my breath and like remember who I am with your intentions. In terms of some of the lines that you would use, I do remember you teasing me of, I want a hamburger and I want a hot dog. Because I mean, golf course food is fun. Yeah. Or what would that kid say?
The Spalding.
Farts. Yeah.
Double fart.
Double fart. That was.
That's the line. You're so right. High five. Yes, it was double farts. I would use the Spalding line from Caddyshack to bring myself back, or to just try to bring some humor. Yeah, I'd hit a bad shot. Double farts. And Laurie would laugh, and it would make me laugh. And even though I could feel some of that anger in there, I would lean on that. And then suddenly I was back to fun. But it severely or tremendously reduced the emotional reaction. Yeah, double farts. Yeah, double farts was a Spalding. Yeah. Wow. Memory unlocked.
Yeah.
You're so right. That was a really, really good one. I want to say that was the main one. We might have used a few others.
That's definitely the main
I think
one.
every once in a while I would go to Happy Gilmore and, you will not make this butt, you jackass, and tell myself stuff like that, even though it was similar to the language I was hearing in my head, but it was still used in a humorous way. But yeah, and again, it's really interesting to kind of watch or to go back and chat about this and go through the phases that we went through as my game changed and it started becoming more fun. I'll never forget, what is it? Our anniversary. Remind me the year 2020.
Okay.
Was it 2020?
It probably was 20. It had to have been 2020.
I have the date on my phone. I will confirm that, and I'll write it down here on the bottom.
If it's not 2020.
If it's not 2020. I just remember that it was our anniversary, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2020. I'd be very surprised if it was 2021. And we'd been working on my mental game now, I would say, for about a year. When we went out to Lost Pines on our anniversary, we had planned it out, and I finally broke a new low record. And that was an amazing day. Because it was telling us that everything that we had been doing, all the techniques that we had worked on were working. What do you remember?
Yeah, it was a beautiful day. It's our anniversary. It's in June. And we were at our favorite course. And there I am tracking everything as usual. And it was really fun. We were getting to the back 9 or last few holes. It's like, oh, shoot, like we're almost here. And I could see it in you of like that excitement, but like I got to keep it cool. I got to keep my nervous system cool. So you're doing your breathing in between each one. And It was really exciting to see and to feel. Like I could feel that energy of excitement, but also I'm keeping cool. Like that's
Mhm.
totally cool.
It's no big
It's
deal.
no big
Yeah.
deal. I'm doing my own breathing with you.
Mhm.
And then getting to that last hole, and same thing in between each shot from the tee to the green, keeping our own breathing. Like I don't want to get too excited
Mhm.
either because we're still not there yet. And then when it happened, like being so
Mhm.
excited. We can find the video. I'd love to put it right here.
Yeah, we're gonna throw that video on. You'll see that right now.
Hey brother, just got done playing Wolf Dancer, shot 74, and I just
You did so good.
had a little bit of an emotional putt on my last. I chipped my approach to about a couple of inches and finished for 74.
One over on each.
37, 37. So
yeah,
feeling pretty good about it, man.
so good.
I'll call you in a bit. Love you.
So yeah, that was a very emotional moment, and I get emotional talking about it now. I've been
Yeah.
having to keep it together as we sit here. Again, I think a lot of golfers can understand that like, it's so much more than just golf. Like golf means to the ones that know, it means so much. That it's a spiritual experience to be out there playing this beautiful game, and yeah, a year's worth of work. I think that was one of my super skills that I had developed as a kid. College taught me that. It taught me to, even though things are tough, to be able to persevere and have this tenacity to keep going, even though you're not getting what you want out of it, but just keep going, keep going. Golf taught me that. And it was just phenomenal to see proof, even though I had already felt it from within myself that things were changing. But it's always nice as a golfer to see the score say so as well.
Absolutely.
And given that this wasn't like, oh my gosh, guys, like the lowest score ever, but it's about what it means to you. And we've talked about this before. My lowest score previously had been 76, which was very upsetting because I knew what my potential was, and I knew that the potential was to be at par. So to have it in the mid 70s was kind of always this sort of like, gosh, man, like I'm better than that. I know I am. I know I am. Every golfer.
Yes. No, but I remember
Yeah.
having those conversations, like when you, especially in the beginning before we kind of implemented some of these things, like, I know I'm better than that, and I'd go with you to the range and everything is just exactly where you'd want to put it. And so, okay, well, that's when we kind of start our journey and we can track this. And I think the score, the way you said it, it wasn't about the score, but it was about the score too, because it's so much more. I think healing all of those things that needed healing from those thought processes to now the physical manifestations of being able to play at the most ease and the most fun, but still being focused and playing well.
And I think that
Yeah.
the other thing that added to the emotions was that we did it together.
Yeah.
That like really at this point, we hadn't talked to anybody, maybe Marcus a few times about what we've been doing, but how much we'd taken on and how much we had been focused on it, we just kind of kept to ourselves. And, I'd share here every now and then, with Francis or Marcus, hey, this is what I'm doing. But we were playing 2-3 times a week, minimum.
It was very consistent for us at the time. Now that we work in golf, we don't play that much, which is wild, but that's another podcast.
That's another
story.
podcast. But yeah, coming down that stretch and coming down 18 and knowing that it was happening. And we've talked about this in a previous pod, just those last 3 holes as you're completely aware that you're on track to break a record that was 20 years old, y'all. 20 years old. I think that's what was making it, again, the fact that we'd worked on it together, the fact that this record had been standing for 20 years. I'd set it when I was 17. I broke it when I was 38, 39. And just to see like, oh my gosh, yes, it's a little validating, right? The things that we're doing, the things that we've stumbled upon, loading the who, all the techniques that we were working on and applying to ourselves, and even discovering they're working. And so 74 on a really tough course from the tips. I think at that time, Wolf was playing closer to 72, 7,300 yards. So it plays long. It's not an easy course by any sense. so it felt good to go out there and do it on a track. I think we had
Mhm.
played some good rounds over at Jimmy Clay, and I'd always had this like, oh, but Clay's a little on the easy side. And I would always find some way of diminishing it. But we'd had 9 holes where it's like, hey, we shot par, we
Mhm.
shot 37,
Mhm.
and then the back 9 doesn't work out the way we want. And this was one of the first times that, oh, wow, we're not just in the 70s or hovering around a record. We broke it by a few
Mhm.
strokes. And yeah, it was kind of cool that start. I feel like that was another jumping off or starting point.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. It's a
Mhm.
testimonial to everything that we've done. And it was a very magical,
Mhm.
sparkly, sunny day. So
Mhm.
it's there's a lot of heart behind it. No,
Mhm.
absolutely.
And then breaking that record again at Kaiser with Steven. You weren't there that
No,
time.
I was not.
I wish you were.
Me too.
But coming down that stretch too, you were on my mind. It was really interesting to not have you there for that round. And again, it's one of these rounds that you don't know. You don't know if the next round is going to be your next record. This particular round was.
Mhm.
Laurie was busy. I go out for another round, and I end up shooting 72, which previous was 74 set at Wolf, the one we just described, and then
Yeah.
broke it again, probably within the next year, after a handful of 74s, 75s, some 76s, 77s, and then now, boom, we're right at that par 72 mark. And I was thinking about you the whole way coming down 18, thinking
Aw.
like, do I call you? Do I tell you? Do I text you? And it was way more exciting to just finish it and then call you and be like, guess what?
Yeah, it was so exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah, that was a really great moment. And then we did it again.
Mhm.
71.
I was there for this one.
Laurie was there for that one, and it was one of those days. It's completely on tape, the whole thing. You filmed the whole thing out with Josh and over at Balcones, and that was a really, really fun round. That was one of those, like, I had already felt so tuned,
Mhm.
playing straight for about 3.5 years.
Mhm.
Probably the most tuned my golf game has ever felt. I'm throwing the ball both ways, fades, draws, straight balls, stingers, whatever.
Having a good time.
Couldn't miss that day. It just felt so good.
You're relaxed, at ease.
Yeah.
It's a fun day.
Yeah. One of the rounds that I can confidently say in the 3 years that we went at it, where loading of the Who didn't miss, post-shot routine, no missing, completely regulated, nervous system-wise, just feeling really, really good. I mean, the complete and total fruit and benefits of all of the work I had put in, just completely showing. And golf felt easy. It felt light. It felt fun.
The way it should be.
Yes. And that was just, once again, very validating in that, hey, the things that we're doing, the things that we have developed work. And when did we start seeing students? Right around the time that we started hanging out with Francis over at Shadow Glen, right around the 2020 mark, right? So I would say that we were probably working on our mental game for about a year before we really kind of started, teaching
Before
others.
that, yeah. No, it was before we met Francis.
Mhm. That's for sure.
But yeah, maybe about, let me think, go back.
I have to say it was probably about a year to a few months that we had already been in it. I would say we'd been at it at a minimum of 8 to 10 months by the time we started feeling comfortable telling others, hey, I think
After
we
we're
can help
coaching
you. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a really good question. Gosh.
Because it seemed kind of seamless.
It was very seamless.
We started on me, and then we got some really, really good results, and we were like, hey, well, we should probably help others. And that's always been a huge passion of mine since and Laurie's too, since the moment that we realized that we could. And I think understanding that, well, if I can help my game, which I thought was the worst
It
as far as
was the worst that we've seen. Not gonna.
Well, it just, like we said
be
before,
honest.
it had decades
Yeah.
worth of time. When we work with players today, maybe they've been at it since they were a little kid. Maybe they've been at it for a few years, but they definitely haven't been at it for 20 plus years.
Mhm.
And that's what made my game, such a unique beast. But
Which
it was,
we needed, though.
yeah.
It's like, that's what we needed to get good and to get excellent where we're at now, along with the skills that we brought in from therapy and from coaching and all of those things.
Yeah. I think that's, had we not had our therapy background, we would have never been able to do this. And working with kiddos, you know, with autism, working with kiddos with Downs, working with kids, you know, working with all walks of life, all kinds of families, really shaped
Patience.
the patience and tenacity that we would need to go in there and do it again and do it again and do it again.
And to track and to track and to check and to see. And that's also something that you need a lot of patience, and you need to have the ability. You have to track these things. You need to see how things are going and see where we're progressing and where do we need to adjust and what's going well.
I think that's what made us, even today as coaches, as mental game coaches, helps us stand apart, is the understanding of what it takes, the tenacity where most people give up, where most people aren't willing to go in there and do the work again and again and again and again. And I think there's a difference between keeping it fun and doing what you need to do in order to get out of this. And there were times where it wasn't fun. There were times where things were redundant. There were times where we were doing the same thing over and over and over again. But I've learned between, you know, the different occupations that I've learned, from music to jujitsu to golf to camera work, whatever it is, you need to be okay sitting there doing it again and again and again and again and again. And I feel that between tracking and the tremendous support that I had, it allowed me to go in there and do what I needed to do. And if it wasn't for those things, I'm confident that within that first 60 days, that first 90 days, it would have just been like, hey, you know what? This beast is too big. It's causing too much stress. Let's just leave it alone.
No, the support and accountability is almost everything, along with the plan that we had of our strategies that we were implementing, that were at the just right challenge and place, and being okay with it. Hey, sometimes it's okay if we missed it, but this is where we can improve next time. And this is what went well. That's also very, very important, I noticed, to check up on like what has gone well, though, because it's very easy to pick on what didn't go well or what needs work. But celebrating the wins is just as important, even if they're, like you've said before on some of these episodes, the mental game wins. Maybe the score didn't move, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, dare I say, was a good day.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you mentioned that, because I think a lot of golfers can go through that, right? Where we talked about the brain's negativity bias. We talked about, excuse me, we talked about how every golfer's brain wants to focus on the bad shots more than the good shots. And had I not had you to sort of pivot my thoughts and create tangents in those thoughts and focus on what was going well, I don't think I would have broken my records. And here's why. I think that being able to get out of my head and stop focusing on the things that were going wrong. Let me rephrase that. Not that I wasn't focusing on them, but I wasn't dwelling on them in a negative way, because we would focus on them. We had to, in order to sort of understand what it needed. And in my game, it was always the T game, right? The OBs, the maybe 2 or 3 OBs that I was hitting every single round, would have been very easy to pick on, would have been very easy to focus on. And I've always had, and you're going to hear it, and even now in my belief systems, I've always had a tremendous short game, especially around the greens. And I relied on that a lot to save par. And I think because of you, I was able to put away the negative focus that I wanted to spend on my tee game and share that light on the other parts of my game that were very, very, very good. And because I was able to give them their light, because I was able to give them their attention and be grateful for those aspects of my game, those aspects of my game, even though they were already good, got better. And inevitably that spilled into my tee game. And I think that my 2-iron had a lot.
Your best friend.
It's my best friend. That was my sort of introduction to feeling like, oh, I do hit the fairway very, very frequently. I can hit it whenever I want. Do you agree that there was a big change when the 2-iron came into play? We started seeing scores come down, and that sort of, because we were able to focus on other parts of the game, that eventually spilled to the driver too.
Absolutely, because then we have these positive associations with being on the tee, especially with your 2-iron. And of course, there were some days, we hit the driver, not feeling it. So let's go lean back on the 2-iron. And Carlos shoots like super far. It's pretty amazing. And that was a really, really good place to associate some more positivity through truth of I can hit off the tee, and this is a strong part of my game as well, until eventually, yeah, you can use your driver or what have you. And of course, there's some days it's better for me to use my 2-iron. But no, for sure, those positive areas are super duper important, not just, in golf, but also in life. It's really easy for us to focus on the negative things, but the positive things are also just as truthful. And so I think that was important too. So I know we've always review that. And there were some days that, when I'm tracking everything, that I think if Carlos had been on his own, he may not have tracked all of these things and then come back to analyze it. So that is really, really, really important.
That's where, again, if you're interested, in getting mental game coaching, whether you're competitive, at the time I was not, I still am not, but it doesn't matter what stage of the game you are in or how you're playing the game, whether it's just for fun or competitive. But if you have any curiosity about working with us, again, that is our superpower, is the support that we can provide you. We're very, very, very big on human behavior and what it takes for a habit to become a habit and how to break them and how to make them and all that good stuff. And the one thing that we've can confidently say, and we've confidently learned through the years, working with special needs kids to our golfers, is that support and accountability are absolutely huge in your journey to changing your habits and behaviors, especially when it comes to this one. And if you come and you work with us, we're not only going to be able to prescribe the things that you should be doing, but the main thing that you're coming to get when you work with us is you're getting us. You're getting the support. You're getting the accountability, right? Again, I go back to the same one that we talk about all the time, right? If you jump into the gym, you go by yourself. That is why our New Year's resolutions, folks, they start in January. By February, it's tapering off. By March, it's gone, right? And it's not that that you didn't know what you were doing. You might have known what you were doing. It's just that for human behaviors, for habits to stick, we need to give them plenty of time to grow. And that's where the support and accountability comes in, right? So if you're coming in to work with us, you're going to come in, you're going to get evals, you're going to know exactly what you're going to do. And then from there, it's just check-ins, right? And I think that's something that we were very, very, very good with. And we haven't talked about it as of yet. And that is that our check-ins happened every round. We were doing a post-round breakdown every single round, which is why we had the stack of scorecards the way we did.
My little notebook.
Yeah. So when you work with us, just know, come on through. That's what you're getting. You're getting a couple of people that are going to support you through the entire thing, and also be able to give you the kick in the butt whenever you need it, especially if it's important to you. You want to get these things done. You want to change your mental game. You know that it's hindering your score. You know it's hindering your play. You know it's hindering your body and your stress and all of those things. And if all that's important to you, then perhaps you're at the right place and you found us. So always here to help your game, to help you as a person. But I think that, going back to our post-round breakdowns, had we not been breaking down those rounds, sort of fine-tooth combing all of our rounds, I don't think we would have progressed as quickly as we did.
For
So
sure.
that
'Cause
was a
how do
huge
you
part.
know? How would you know what to do or what needs to truly be worked on? You would just be taking shots in the dark, but because of our therapy background, we need to be specific. Where are we at? And I think that's also what led to myself and Carlos developing our mental game evaluation, which I'm very proud of, because it takes a whole person approach, what's happening on the course, what's happening off the course, and all those little intricacies throughout, which are then going to also give us the insights and the strategies that are individualized for the people that we're working with. Because of course there is a general overarching theme for what everybody needs, right? It's just like health and wellness. Well, everyone needs to get sleep. our nutrition, exercise, but there's going to be specific areas for different things that are needed, right? Whether it's off the tee or with your putting or whatever it may be. That's also, I think, where our programming is really special, that it's individualized, especially if you come through with and get our evaluation done. I'm really proud of it, actually.
I'm extremely proud of it. I think of the fact that, that this evaluation, when we intake you, when you come in, this is an evaluation created by us, and it doesn't exist in any other place in the world.
Mm-mm.
Quite literally. You're not going to find anybody else who has this. This has been completely developed by us. It's absolutely holistic. It considers the whole person, as Laurie says. It considers everything from your pitching wedge down to your sleep. There isn't one stone we leave unturned. It considers all of you. And it's for us, because this is a game of life. When you work with us, it's so much more than just your golf game that it's going to benefit. And we made sure of that.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very proud of that evaluation.
Absolutely.
I think, Laurie's worked with many evaluations as an occupational therapist. So I think to write one of your own.
I'm really proud of it. I really am.
And it does continue to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I think at this point it needs to be named. We haven't even named it.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And but yeah, I look forward to all those who are watching this and go, hey, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to maybe not buy new clubs this year and invest in my mental game. And especially when we've designed it to help those that are suffering with anxiety, depression off of the course. This is all going to tie in. This is here to help those that are suffering from those ailments as well, as we help others change their brains, change the way their brains are working for the better, just to provide more nervous system regulation. And once again, if this is the first episode that you're watching with us here at Golf Psycho, we're absolutely huge and big believers that in order for golfers to play their best golf, we need to make sure that your nervous system is happy and regulated. We absolutely subscribe to the idea that if you're one of those golfers that's losing yourself to fight or flight, you're not going to play your best golf. The funny things are going to happen. You're going to constantly go into spirals. You're going to constantly not reach your potential. So that is the heart of what we do. And everything we do, every technique that we apply to the game on and off the course is to aid that purpose. And that's just one hurdle that golfers go through, right? It's just the nervous system and what your nervous system is doing, keeping you out of fight or flight so that you can play your best. And then after that, and once we've healed that and that's no longer an issue, now we can tackle on other things, right? But that is the first one that we go through to make sure that that is not something that's going on in golfers' games, and make sure that that's just no longer an issue for you. But maybe I'm just so happy that we finally got this one on.
Yeah.
It's been awesome to have Raul on, and it's been awesome to get that started. I am so grateful for Raul.
Shout out to Raul.
Shout out to Raul from Raul Golfs. If you haven't been to his page, be sure to check him out. I made a deal with him after, knowing that I needed to get this pod off the ground, and I applied very, very basic human behavior concepts to myself, and that was accountability. And we asked Raul, hey, Raul, please keep us accountable to make sure this pod goes off and gets done. And we gave him that permission, and well, here we are.
And here we are, looking forward to having him back on, having some more guests. And yeah, this was fun.
And you too, babe. I think that we've been wanting to shoot this episode in particular and get your insights over what you saw. And then now we're going to go into the nitty gritty, and y'all are going to see Laurie and I much more, because we're a team and on and off of the course. And it's been great to work with my wife. It's been great to work with Laurie. It's been great to see again how you can have someone who's not necessarily in golf. Laurie has been playing for the last 4 years.
Yay me.
And but her ability to help golfers that are scratch, her ability to help anyone just really goes to show, right? It's like, again, I go back to Tin Cup and that concept of, you don't have to be, especially when it comes to the mental game, you don't have to be this tremendous golfer to be able to have a beautiful and long-lasting positive impact on others' golf games, So I have, but I will once again thank you from the bottom of my heart, my love, for everything that you brought to my game and in my life. And I think healing this part of myself, I couldn't have done it without you. And I'm so glad that it led to um, helping others. We've met so many others and so many other wonderful people because we decided to do this, and now I can play golf, and it doesn't rip me apart, and it's brought so much beauty to my life with the folks that are constantly coming into our lives. So be sure to comment on this pod what resonated with you. Hearing from you is the coolest thing that we experience as we get this pod off of the ground, and we're very passionate about what we do, if you haven't picked up on that already. But thank you so much for tuning in. And if there's anything that you'd like us to cover in the future, Laurie, I'll pass the mic on to you as we say goodbye. Is there anything else that we need to cover before we go?
I just want to say thank you. Almost made me tear up. I love you so much. And I am so grateful to be on this journey with you, with life and golf, because golf has brought me so much, right? From, ourselves and our relationship and our life journey, to also now working with golfers, to meeting golfers, to having some of my nearest and dearest friends are golfers too, which I never would have met, which is amazing. And then this amazing community that we have in Austin, Texas, and throughout the world is very, very cool. But yeah, we would love to hear from you. And if there's any part of your game or questions that you have regarding the mental game, and maybe something specific, I'd love to hear it in the comments. That would be fun for
And
us.
be sure to like and subscribe.
Oh yes, please
Yeah.
like, subscribe if you have not.
Maybe you can't work with us right now, but if you'd like to support us, we humbly ask that you like and subscribe to the channel, and that you comment, because that helps the algorithm get it out to more people, right? The more that we start a dialogue in the comments, don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Whenever we pop open our app and we see that we got comments from y'all, that's always very exciting to hear. But yeah, if there's anything else that you'd like us to cover in the future, feel free to let us know. But thank you so much for tuning into the Golf Cycle podcast. We'll catch you on the next one.
Catch you on the next one.